stream. Your interview will begin shortly. Please remember to speak clearly, look forward, smile, and relax. Describe a situation that required a number of things to be done at the same time. How did you handle it? What was the result?
My main working background has been in hotels as a receptionist, and every day we're required to do multiple things at once. And usually this would include answering phones while dealing with the guests as well as other departments. One specific instance where my multitasking came into really handy was when I was working and there was a number of guests who were at the reception on check-in time, but their rooms were unfortunately not ready for them. So the most important thing here is to always remain calm, because you getting agitated is not going to help the situation and it's going to make them worry. So what basically I had to do is, whilst trying to keep the guests in a state of relaxed, because they are on holiday, I want them to be nice and relaxed, I had to also make sure that housekeeping were getting the rooms done as fast as possible. So what I had to do at that time was I had to keep guests up to date, constant communication with them to make sure that they know we are trying to get their rooms done as quickly as possible and that we're sorry that they're being inconvenienced. To keep in contact with housekeeping through both radio and phone, to just see what status the rooms are at and if whether we can change any of the rooms from dirty to inspected, which just means guests are able to enter the room and we can get them in faster. And I also had to keep in contact with the cafe, because it is our policy at the hotel that if a guest is on time for their check-in but their room's not ready, we can offer them a free cup of tea or coffee and let them relax for a little while. So once we were able to do all that, I also at the same time had to keep answering and redirecting phone calls, and I had to deal with guests who had already been staying at the hotel to make sure that they're not neglected. And as a result from all this, we're able to keep the guests calm and feel like they're on holiday, which is our main objective. And then we would get them into rooms as fast as possible, and their holiday hasn't been ruined too bad, and that they can spend the rest of their stay with us in relaxation and enjoy the rest of their stay with us.
In your opinion, what are the key ingredients in creating and maintaining successful relationships inside and outside the organization, keeping in mind the importance of HR relating to people at all levels of the company? Could you provide us with examples of the relationships you built in your last role?
I think the most important thing in maintaining good relationships with anybody is mutual respect. So when working in a hotel, it is absolutely vital that relationships are maintained between our guests and between departments. This is because mainly that guests are our number one priority, really. But they're our external customers, but our internal customers are our colleagues. So we've got to try and make their job easier for them, and hope it is reciprocated, which it is usually. So one example of us working as a team throughout the hotel was when there was a busload of guests who arrived, and we weren't able to find their reservation. It turned out it'd been put in incorrectly, and therefore the rooms hadn't been cleaned. So myself and a colleague went down to housekeeping and gave them a hand and had the rooms cleaned as fast as possible. As a result of this, the guests were able to get in their rooms as fast as possible, which maintained a relationship with them, and also maintained a relationship with each other within the departments, because it demonstrates teamwork, and that we're working towards a common goal. And if one department needs help, the other departments will jump on it and be like, what can we do? So basically the philosophy is that we're all cogs in the same machine, and without one cog, the machine falls apart. No job is more important than the other. no person is more important than the other. We all need to work together. And as a result, there's more trust between the departments, because I have worked in hotels where there was lots of mistrust between departments. They were out to get their, they were only concerned with their own department performing. But within this specific hotel, it was very important that every department is supported by the others, and we work as a collective.
Tell me about the system that you use for goal setting. To what extent does it involve using written objectives, paperwork, or forms? Describe a specific instance in which you defined your goals and objectives in writing.
Well, when I've been at university, I like to write everything down. This means, especially with assignments, and usually assignments are due around the same time, I like to write down what my goals are for the day as well as the week, and I usually do this in several places so that I always have a constant reminder that certain things need to get done at certain times. But one assignment in particular that allowed me to put into words was a vision board that we did for one of my subjects, and this was quite a good assignment as it mapped out and clarified what I personally want from my career as well as my personal life. So it was able to allow me to see what I find most important and what's going to actually motivate me to do better. So basically we were required to put different elements of our life onto this board and explain why we decided to include them. And a couple of my elements were family as well as having a successful career. And I think those two are very important to me personally. And through doing this vision board, I was able to properly determine what steps I need to take in order to get where I need to be for both short term and long term. And I was able to see that how I can have a fulfilling career without sacrificing stuff such as family and travel, and so I found it very helpful.
Thank you for completing the interview stream practice interview. You will receive an email with a link and tips on how to maintain your interview stream account.